What's up, YouTube? I got my new microphone. Figured I'd give it a try out here. And it's a lot nicer outside than it is in my house. We had a huge storm system blow through and I have no power. This is 4 days straight now. So it's 84 degrees, I think, when I left. A lot nicer to be outside. So here we are. This video is going to be about the two different types of stock market investing. The two types are growth and value. So growth stocks would be, I guess some examples of those would be Facebook, Tesla, Amazon. These businesses are growing massively every year, in the double digits typically, at least 10% growth per year. They're reinvesting all the money that they make back into the business, into growing faster, adding more products, adding more areas that they service, just growing every direction. They're trying to get the business as big as possible, as fast as possible. Obviously, Amazon is a good example of a growth stock. They're huge, right? And they're still growing. They're still expanding into different markets. They're still expanding into different regions, different customer bases. So the difference between a growth stock and a dividend or value investing stock is going to be where they put their money. A company that is profitable is either going to give some of that money to shareholders in the form of a dividend, or they're going to reinvest that money into the business. That could be paying off debt, that could be growth, that could be expansion, new products, new services. There's a whole variety of ways a company can grow. So when you're looking at companies that you want to put your money in, you're going to be looking at either growth companies or value companies, dividend companies. They're entirely different types of investing. And we've got something crazy going on out there. Well, they didn't come here anyway. So the two different types. You might invest in a growth stock because you want to see huge returns. Tesla's a good example of that. They're growing at 40 to 50% per year. A lot of people buying their cars as fast as they can make them. They've got new products coming out as fast as they can make them. They're building factories in new countries like as fast as they can do it. And they're adding services, they're adding products. Just a huge amount of growth. So Tesla's going to put every dollar that they make back into the company to build a huge growth story. And at some point, that growth is going to slow down, but they will have tapped into all these markets. They'll have all these products. They'll be just generating enormous amounts of cash. And that's when they will go from being a growth company to a dividend or value company. Typically, dividend companies are companies that have been around a long time. They've expanded into all different regions. They've got all different networks of products. Some company examples might be Coca-Cola or Johnson & Johnson, Walmart, Wells Fargo, Bank of America. These are massive companies. They don't have a lot more room to expand. They've gotten huge over the years. They are still growing, but very slowly. But they're making enormous amounts of money because of all the regions and all the products and services that they offer. So what they do when the growth slows down like that, rather than investing all the money back into the business, they start to pay it to shareholders in the form of dividends. And this is where, depending on the percentage, they're going to give a percentage of every dollar they make back to the shareholders. Typically, it's not very much, 2-3%, and that's a good dividend. During times like COVID-19 here, where a stock price has fallen a lot, maybe they're paying a 2% dividend before, and they've fallen 50%. Now they're paying a 4% dividend. So you can get a lot higher dividend payouts with companies that are falling in stock price, but it's also a lot more likely that they're going to cut those dividends because they're not going to be able to afford that higher percentage. Companies with high dividends a lot of times are hurting. They're not making a lot of money, and they're just not going to be able to pay that dividend. So then the question to ask yourself is, what balance do you want between growth and dividend or value investing stocks? For me personally, I think you should have both, just for a safety standpoint. Growth stocks are a lot riskier. They're a lot more exciting. You can make a lot more money with a growth stock. A growth stock going up 40 or 50% per year, odds are the stock price is going to follow that and make 40 or 50% per year. At the same time, growth stocks come with a lot of debt. They come with a lot of risk. You could lose 40 or 50% a year. There's no promises. There's no promises on a dividend or value investing stock either, but they're safer, a lot more boring. I've got a decent balance, I think. I've got a bank that's not going anywhere. They're growing still. They pay a great dividend. They have a good track record, good management. And then I've got a radio station, which, yeah, you might say radio station, how is that growth, right? The podcast industry is growing substantially. Radio, not so much, but this company is so undervalued that they are likely to make what I paid for the entire company, which is the market cap. They're likely to make that back in 1 year. That's just ridiculously undervalued. So I would say that is more of a value investment than a growth investment, even though they don't pay a dividend. And to me, I like the excitement. I like a little bit more risk. I'd rather try to make 100% on a stock in a year than try to make 10% plus a 3% dividend. That's just me. You really got to gauge your risk, what you're willing to take, what you are expecting over the years. If you're younger, it might be more beneficial for you to try more growth stocks, take a little bit more risk, because you've got more time to fix any issues, anything that comes up with your retirement, get a plan together, figure out what works best for you. If you're a little bit older and you're maybe looking at retirement in the next few years, you probably want to go with a safer stock that's going to pay you the dividend. They're going to grow, but maybe not ridiculously fast. Just something to think about. And I'm going to add a little segment to this video about how I value stocks, how everyone should value stocks. What you want to find is your intrinsic value when you're looking at investing in a safe stock or a dividend paying stock. If you want to know if you're getting a good deal and now is the time to buy that stock or not, what you want to know is the intrinsic value. That is basically, to put it very simply, you take all the assets and cash that a company has, you combine all that into one value, subtract all the debt that they owe from that value, take what's left, divide that by how many shares are available on the market. This is going to give you their intrinsic value, the amount that share is actually worth if they were to liquidate the company right now and give you your portion as a shareholder. It's a very important number. This is almost all Warren Buffett uses when he's buying companies. He wants to know what the company is worth. And it's not that you need to buy it for less than the intrinsic value. What you want is a low PE ratio. PE is your forward earnings. Let's say you buy a business. That business makes $1,000 per year, every year. It's not growing. It's not even paying a dividend. But they make $1,000 per year and they add that to the company. So the company increases in value by $1,000 per year. Let's say the market cap of that company is $5,000. That means you have a PE ratio of 5. When you buy that company, it is going to take that company 5 years to earn back the money that you spent buying that one share. That is your PE ratio. The lower the PE ratio, typically, the cheaper the stock. A lot of times a company with a low PE ratio that is cheap is going to be cheap for a reason. Possible bankruptcy or a number of reasons. So you really have to do a deep dive into the balance sheet, the fundamentals of the business. You have to figure out why they're on sale and whether or not you believe that company is going to be worth substantially more in the future. If you can buy a business that makes $4,000 a year for $5,000, that's a no-brainer, right? 2 years, you've made profit already. Everything you make after that is profit. So if you can buy a business that in 5 years down the road will have made all the money you spent on that business back, and after that it's all going to be profit, that's a pretty good deal. 5 years isn't that long if you look at the broad spectrum. And then you got to figure in growth. So then there's PEG, which is your price to earnings growth. That is a factor of how much they're earning now versus what you're paying, and then figuring in the growth factor. So if they're growing 40% per year, they're going to make that back the money that you spent on that share in less time than 5 years. So the PEG ratio is how you'd find what they're expected to make over the next few years and what that is going to be in relation to the price you're paying. And that's really all there is to valuing stocks. You know, how much debt do they have? How much money do they make? How much money will they make in the future? You know, the next 5 to 10 years is how far I look ahead. And are they a good deal based on those numbers? If you value a whole bunch of different companies, odds are you're going to find which ones are expensive, which ones are cheap, and what the good deals are. So that's about it. It pretty much wraps up this video. I would absolutely love a like and a subscribe if you can. If not, that's cool too. Thank you for watching the video. And check out this beautiful lake. I'm pretty lucky to be out here tonight. It is just gorgeous. My house is like hot and dark. There's no power, so being out here, it's nice. Anyway, that's all there is for this video. If you have any questions, I'd appreciate seeing them down in the comments section. Feel free to hit me up. Any advice I have is just advice, that's it. I'm not a professional. I don't do this for a living. This is just what I'm doing, how I make money in the stock market, and I would like to share what I know. So I will see you on the next video.